Dandy's world isn't fun anymore. Now, this has been said thousands of times, but as a player whom started this game only days after it first came out, I felt like speaking about my dislikes with this game and fandom. But first, I will go over what makes the game so boring now. No new context. Yes, there has been new tune skins and game passes, but none of this changes the new game. And honestly, it's been difficult to enjoy this game when all the gameplay is the exact same from when the game first came out. And no, Dial will never ever count. Dial isn't a boss. He is skippable. And his map, though new, is the same substance. Do machines, don't get seen, and collect ichor. Dial could have been more interesting, but all he has is extreme speed. That's not fun. That's just a regular tune, but on steroids. Matter of fact, Dial has less going on than some of the mains. Gordy needs candy, Bassie has spikes, Bobette, here's items get picked up. But all Dial has is speed. It's underwhelming. I'm not a man for complaining without offering fixes to this, but my opinion is that Dial should be a challenge people must face. Unskippable, each 10 floors. Therefore 10 floors will be always a boss fight, and I wanted to make Dial more of a threat. After all, Dial is distractible with Louis Pebble and most commonly Basie. Now this is my personal opinion, but I don't think distracting should exist. It makes this survival game into just a extractor simulator. So my idea, Dial is a snake-based threat. So based off of that, I like to imagine Dial to be more like a snake. All in the base game Dial does is slither. It's boring and adds nothing to the gameplay. So I decided to make Dial based off of a black mamba. This is due to these snakes being fast, large, and extremely venomous. First thing I do is make it so Dial can climb walls, he'd stay in corners, and mimic different sounds. Machines, hits, heals, sounds of other twisteds, and most importantly, he'd mimic voice. The lines of his original creators, repeating what he has been told over and over, again to a disturbing degree. This would also help with the lore and make Dial's boss floor truly be horrific. Second, I liked to imagine Dial's floor is a relevator drop, being the very last floor. And in my mind, with all the pipes and broken machines leaking ichor, it would be flooded in ichor but only to the tunes, ankles. This will give all tunes but Blot Plus. Rebecca's slowness and sickness too. Sickness is the effect I added when a tune has had too much contact with contaminated ichor, which causes blurry screen tunes to be discoordinated and stamina to regen slowly. Because of this flood, when a tune messes up a machine, Dial will jump down from his corner and swim quickly in the ichor to where the machine was messed up. But to make this fair, due to Dial's size, we won't be able to reach tunes that would be hidden. Dial's floor will be the only area to ever have hiding spots. But due to the flood, these hiding spots cannot be used for long. Tunes will have to hold their breath under the ichor while hiding. Tunes are able to hide for 8 seconds, then they'd be forced out to breathe or they'd drown. I would remove Dial's bar completely and force players to be aware and use their senses to survive Dial. But of course, to make it clear where Dial approaches from, the ichor splashes loudly and waves ripples always form from Dial. Dial's hissing also can be heard getting louder as he approaches. Another feature I'd add is fear sanity. If Dial is near the tune, the player's scene will get darker and louder. Breathing will overlap audio, and the screen also will get a bit more blurry to mimic tears. I find that if a character isn't afraid of a threat, then the person playing won't be afraid either. Resident Evil Village is an amazing example of this. So I'd force the player to make themselves feel what the tunes feel. To bring this more out, the player's screen would get forced into first person during hiding. Also, I dislike it when normal twisteds are on boss floors. It makes no sense to me. So I decided to add small twisteds that aren't playable tunes. These are mini snakes and small clocks. These snakes are coral snakes and king snakes. These snakes aren't dangerous to touch, but do play a key aspect in possible gameplay. Coral snakes are dangerous and will lead the tune to dial or a clock if followed. But the rarer king snake will bring tunes to each other, to heels, or to machines. The small clocks work similarly to Twisted Eclipse, ringing loudly. This turns the player's screen to a dark red tone, adding urgency to run away, but the player will quickly realize that they are being held into place. The clock's hands would grip onto the tune's leg, and in order to free themselves, the player must place the clock hands into place. They will be able to tell from a stain on the clocks, showing where the player must drag where they're shown. This also gives new gameplay, and that would be Phase 1 for Dial's Floor. Phase 2 is completed after 18 machines are completed, gates open, and players have only 20 seconds to get into the other side. This gate is meant to shut, but Dial lifts it up and slams it down when he is inside, trapping the tunes with Dial, who now actively hunts them in the icon. The players must do 6 duo machines together, which unlocks a cutscene. Dandy opens the elevator and yells at the tunes to hurry. There is only 10 seconds to get to the elevator. As the icon rises slowly, Dandy will throw rafts for the players to get onto. There is only 4 rafts, so players must decide which tunes should go on. These rafts drag players immediately to the elevator, ensuring their safety as others run. Eventually, all will get into the elevator unless some tunes died. After this, Dandy Shop will be open on each floor for 3 total floors. These shops will always have heals and speed items. Completing Dial's boss floor gives the players 100 tapes, plus the tapes they got from the machines, and also a randomized bonus of 2 stars in a stat. Anyways, overall, I think all Twisteds should have something actually special about them. Example, Twisted's attacks based off personality. Since Goob is meant to not be aggressive, Goob shouldn't instantly attack. Instead, he should hug the tune without damage, and a game sequence of balancing something should be enabled. Goob only attacking once, startled, which makes him unique from his sister, Scraps. This should just be repeated with each Twisted, making them all unique to deal with the sense. Many of these Twisteds are far too similar. I also believe that the mains rooms should have a guarantee to spawn that main. It just makes the most sense. Now, on to some smaller fixes, I'd add. With trinkets, I believe many need reworked. Most trinkets are not used, with most of the used trinkets being always the same. This is extremely limited in gameplay and desperately needs fixed, but I doubt the game creators care enough to fix these issues. For one, the most obvious bad trinkets are Fancy Purse and Fishing Rod. With Fancy Purse, I'd make it 50 tapes every other floor. Fishing Rod is similar. Every new floor the player is given to random items. I'd also boost some of the other trinkets, like V-Emote, which would simply be that over time the player would get more completion available, higher the floors, but it would always have a limit to half of the machines. Example being 5 out of 10 machines being allowed to be completed. Also, player would have 3 trinket spots with the ability to earn more from Dandy's boss floor. With Dandy's boss floor being completed, players can earn 1 more trinket box and are allowed to select a trinket out of 3 random choices. Dandy's boss floor is meant to be extremely deadly though, but I will go over that in another video. For just information needs, Twisted Pebble will always spawn with Dandy. I am willing to make a video all about me fixing these awful trinkets. Next issue I have with this game is obvious. It's all about the creators prioritizing the wrong things. This is what makes me so frustrated. Instead of working on gameplay, these people focus on cosmetics. These cosmetics are skins, game passes, merch, and other non-needed things. Of course, I understand that a game needs money, so they'll have out merch to buy. But this is ridiculous. When people are complaining about no new context and about how the trinkets need fixed, the creators launched more skins. Do you know how many skins are in this game? Currently, over 200? 200. That's what is so bothersome. Instead of working on gameplay, fixing bugs, trinkets, twisteds, making tunes better, and literally anything needed, they instead focus on useless skins that most times look either bad or are just a recolor. There are currently 39 playable tunes. My guess, only about 10 of these tunes are actually used, or maybe less. Think about it. When do you see players playing unique tunes, or playing tunes with unique trinkets? Probably been months, right? Yeah, well that's because of the fact that some tunes are just bad, or there are just better tunes than them. For a while, some mains were completely useless, like Astro and Babette. Both of these characters are still mains people don't normally play, but they have been boosted. Of course, these tunes have become more common to play as, especially Babette, who is now used for solo distracting. Yet these tunes still are weak, though Babette is fixable by just changing her active ability. Also, people rely on healers far too much, and generally, the 4 healing tunes are often unbalanced, or some are not used, like Tegan. Bassi can also be counted as a healer, but her actual category is in support. Another small issue I have is actually the stickers. This is due to the fact that players need this wheel to most times communicate with each other, so having the players need to spend actual money in order to get an extra wheel slot feels wrong. In my mind, I'd keep the sticker wheel completely free, and if money is really that badly needed, make some stickers to go with game passes so people want them more. Also, I hope this game will actually make a tutorial. This has been wanted ever since the game came out. That's of course not all the issues I have with this game, but I don't want this video to be 3 hours long. So I'll be moving away from gameplay now for what everyone was expecting. The fandom. In my opinion, Dandy's World has one of the most toxic fandoms in the gaming history. It's genuinely awful. I will now be providing warnings for the following content. If you are uncomfortable with listed content, please click off. Your comfort does not need to be tested by watching a video. I also do not sugarcoat things. I will say the listed things unbleeped, uncensored, and clearly. I find using the terms cheese pizza to be childish and honestly disrespectful to actual victims, so I do not use those labels. You have been warned. This segment of the video will include harassment, adult content such as pornography, hypersexual content, child sexual material, CSM, murder, molesting, rape, art impersonation, mass killing videos, gore, vor, fetish content, and overall degenerate content made by sick people or exposed children. Please don't harass anyone in the video, but do report their content so it does not continue. I do not wish children to see this content, so most will not be showed or will be heavily blurred. I will not show the socials of these creators because I don't want them to be looked up. So, the fandom worse than gameplay, huh? I'm aware that people post about this ragabait constantly still. The example listed is currently only 3 days ago. Before you ask, no, I did not search this content up. All I did was type Dandy's World on YouTube, and it popped up after scrolling. This is a major issue because children can see this type of content. My issue with this type of reaction content is thought it often shows this in a negative light. The creators do not add helpful input. They water down the seriousness of this degenerate behavior with memes, and they don't actually explain why this content is wrong. But the thing that really concerns me is that this content is not censored. Most times, and most of the people reacting to this content is children. Children should not be looking for, nor wanting to search for, this perverted content. Children's prefrontal cortex, the part is responsible for planning, judgment, and impulse control, is not fully developed, and it will only develop in the mid-20s. A child who sees this content, even if it's in a negative light, can desensitize them. making the child's brain to take this imagery as something normal. And yes, it is that serious. Ragabait will always be that serious because it normalizes and sexualizes this pedophile behavior, making suggestive art of a minor, even if fictional, will always harm the person's brain. Even if the person claims not to find what they draw attractive, even feeling neutral when drawing this perverted. Child-themed art will harm them mentally, and most likely the person will gain a paraphilia of what they are drawing in the future. For safety reasons, here are the flags that MAPs use. MAP stands for Minor Attracted People and are pedophiles. But it is important to know that people cannot control their paraphilia. And if a person gains a paraphilia, it does not make them a monster. These people should seek help by therapy and should never feed into their paraphilia. If someone has this flag on their characters, bios, or anywhere on their channel, and it's in a positive light, or is just being treated like a normal flag, block them and report them. Your safety and the children's safety is of the most importance. And if you are mentally mature enough and are old enough to talk about paraphilias and the danger of the person, please do a beware post on this user so people can know and also block them. It may be a small post for you, but it could save a child's innocence. Another minor thing I'll mention right now, but go into detail with later, is toxicity. Many players in this game have a complex, and they assume that what they think is most important. These players can get mad when other players heal a tune, refuse to give up a machine, or something similar to that. The best course of action is to simply ignore these comments. After all, you aren't doing anything actually wrong, and you are just helping all of your team. Back to the main fandom issues though. Now there is paraphilia versions of these tunes as spoken of before, but there is also the opposite version of these tunes. These tunes often have the flag crossed out and normally animate themselves murdering or making fun of the paraphilia-based tunes. The example above is of a creator that isn't actually that bad. These tunes by themselves aren't actually bad, and if done right, can help with spreading awareness. But there is a downside, obviously. Most of these people who make this content are children, which means these children are still most likely seeking out this content, which, of course, is extremely dangerous. Also, children tend to be more emotional due to not being mature yet, so these children often hurt their mental health. By looking up these gore, pornographic, and CSM art to react to. If you are a minor wanting to spread awareness, you can, but please, beware that if you post anti-anything art, most likely you'll be harassed by Sometimes these killing videos are made of other creators for no reason, or for petty reasons that make no sense. I will not show the violence in these clips, but just photos before the killing, so gore is not shown. But these users are known to make mass gore-killing videos on random people they dislike. And as shown, these people are most likely children. Due to the fact that the reason why they are targeting each other with harassment and violence is for copying. Even if copying does happen, it's important to remember that kids like to mimic each other, get inspired by people they like. If you are copied by a minor or you believe anyone is copying you, please just have a mature conversation with them and clear up any issues privately. Most times a child won't understand why they're being yelled at if it's not explained. So instead of choosing violence, talk and explain the issue. If this person does not stop after explaining, then block them. This, of course, is just one of hundreds of killing videos. It's truly a disturbing cycle of violence. The cycle normally goes in this list. Person A does something that person B doesn't like, greater than person B makes. A killing video greater than a sees it, and makes a revenge video greater than B sees revenge. Video and B's friends also see it greater than more killing revenge. Videos happens greater than it becomes mainstream and people are killing each other non-stop. Nobody takes accountability, and everyone points fingers at each other for being worse, while, in reality, everyone is being awful. And everyone deserves an apology, while at the same time should be apologizing to the people they hurt. Unfortunately, most people are too immature to do this, but hopefully people improve and grow from their mistakes. A massive fandom issue also stems from shipping, which concludes our next part of this video. The mass shipping art that stared innocent, but quickly became perverted and malicious. Dandy's world has a massive fandom and is full of many artists. Many of these artists draw 2 or more of their favorite tunes in relationships, which by itself has nothing wrong with doing. After all, these are often made by children who just like the tunes. But this quickly becomes a major issue when some of the fan art is made by adults, or sadly more commonly children who find making suggestive art normal, which can lead to hypersexuality, which harms the child's mental health. Also, viewing this art as a child can make the child not only think this degenerate behavior is normal, but romanticize the toxic behavior often added into these ships. I know everyone has to be rolling their eyes at the ship, I must mention, because it's so overset, but fruitcake itself is harmed Dandy's world to a frustrating degree. Fruitcake, which is the name of the ship that involves Sprout X Cosmo, genuinely ruined part of this game, and not only has ruined the tunes themselves, but also screws up lore for the game. Fruitcake is one of the most toxic ships to ever be made in this fandom. The relationship is almost always toxic and showcases awful behavior. As normal and cute, these behaviors are often stalking, obsession, breaking boundaries of partners, being controlling, and many other problematic things that children needs to know are wrong. This one ship is the embodiment of everything wrong with shipping in any game. This ship gotten so far that when people said the ship wasn't canon, those people were doxxed, harassed, and like previously mentioned, I had killing videos about them. But do you know the worst part of this? Qwel, yes, the game creator, doesn't help at all when it came to this shipping craze. Matter of fact, she purposely made the whole thing worse. Simply for what I assume to be so people talk about the game more and spend more time playing it, thinking about it. There is so much more of this, by the way. It's genuinely to the point where these tunes only surround each other personally wise and lore wise, to the point where Sprout's lore is so basic to the point that it's only surrounding Cosmo only. And Cosmo's lore is so unexplored that people don't realize the basic things like how Kamso is mentoring Boxton with baking. Okay, so ignore everything I was talking about, because something so extremely important was leaked literally days ago. There is evidence that Qwel is still friends with Rox. For context, Rox was the past game developer who got exposed for being an evil pedophile that groomed innocent kids and traumatized them so much they developed paraphilias and became dark pro shippers as a trauma response. Qwel knew ever since Rox and her were friends that he was a pedophile that groomed kids, but she still supported Rox during this, happily letting Rox have access to their fan base of kids, letting him be sick and message all these minors. She only kicked him out when he was exposed, and she couldn't hide his actions anymore. But according to the docs that were released, she stayed friends with him after secretly. At this time, so many poor victims came out to Qwel for help. So many confused and traumatized children that Rox groomed. And Qwel was a heartless monster to them, recording one of the victims. Messages of the victims saying how they became a pro-shipper due to this trauma. Instead of Qwel comforting and trying to help this victim, as the trusted adult she needed to be in that situation, she chose to insult and make fun of the victim to her friends, treating this victim like a freak, demonizing a literal child. Qwel, by the time I've made this video, made no public response. Please keep that in your mind that Qwel is purposely choosing to let this disgusting behavior go, be swept under the rug. She is betting on her young audience to be uninformed and to never understand what she'd done wrong, solely so she can keep making money off of this game. I know some people may think what I'm about to say is a stretch, but I think this in my soul. I think Qwel is also a dangerous pedophile. Yes, I said it. I think, keyword being think, Qwel is a pedophile. This is due to the fact that Qwel had supported her pedophile friends, and due to the fact that Rox used to send Qwel art he made of him raping and touching real minors suggestively, and Qwel was fine and even liked this disgusting art Rox had made. In my mind, I find it ridiculous to not count Qwel as being a pedophile. Not all pedophiles have victims, but this does not change the fact that all it takes to be a pedophile is by liking a young child or excusing the desires to be with a child. According to my research, there isn't proof of Qwel liking real children, but there is proof in the docs of Qwel acting like Rox's desire to do sexual things with kids is not wrong. Qwel literally defends and hides the fact he was grooming their audience. So in my mind, if someone is going to do all that and still support their friend who likes children. That person must also be mentally degenerate. Now, what is my opinion on what should be done about this? I think nobody should play this game till Qwel responds. Blush Crush Studio should not be getting money nor be able to have its player base thrive when the creator is being immature and hiding things. Most importantly, Qwel needs to step down from her role and give it to someone more trustworthy and honest. She clearly is too immature to be a leader. After all, there is proof in other videos of her playing some random games while this situation is happening. And Qwel has made jokes and memes about what's going on, which I think would be easy to tell on how seriously she is taking everything that is happening, which is not serious at all. In my opinion though, even if Qwel makes a response and apologizes, I want everyone to remember that she did not apologize to the victim she insulted, nor does she actually feel remorse. If she makes a apology video, always remember that if someone has to be forced to apologize, they aren't and will never actually be sorry for their actions. It's an honest shame that this game is ruined now because of the game creators that built it. I wish that I had something positive to say at the end of this all, but I don't. There is no such positiveness in this game or fan base currently. All I have to say and offer is that I hope that you and everyone else watching this video will watch deep dives other people made, because there are so many videos with the information I'm saying, but they simply had the storage to be able to show the photo evidence. And please read the victims' documents on what happened. They deserve to be heard. It's a great time to support other games, especially due to the fact we recently just lost to Dandy's World because of the situation happening and Dali's Factor that ran out of funding. I'll also just be saying some things I'm personally doing right now. I have unfavorited the game, unliked it, turned off notifications, and left the community page. I also done the same thing for Flavor Frenzy, and for the future, I will never join the community again unless Qwel quits. Okay, another update. Jeez. Qwel posted a response. This response though was god-awful and wasn't even an apology. Qwel, despite showing she cannot keep minors in her server safe, refuses to step down, which shows she truly has no care for them. This has to be the second worst apology I've ever seen. In the great words of Solace, she might as well pull out a ukulele. Because, damn, it was just a pity party where she made herself the victim. Instead of the thousands of kids that were in her server where Rox had full access to them. Also the fact she brought up her childhood. Like, girl, genuinely, what is wrong with you? Why would you ever think it would be a good idea to bring up your kid experience too? Sound relatable when it's not your story. You're supposed to apologize to the people you failed to protect as an adult figure. This is part of your fault, Qwel. Because of your negligence, these poor kids are suffering with hypersexuality, being a prostitute, and their whole perspective of relationships are ruined now. These poor innocent kids are ruined because of your neglect to save them. And the fact you won't apologize, and you literally said everyone makes mistakes. This wasn't a mistake. Qwel. Mistakes are accidents. You knew Rots was a pedophile and you let him play with these kids. You let them be groomed. And of course, these kids that aren't even the victims forgive you. They're kids. They don't know any better because you are lying to them. They don't understand that it is not their place to forgive you because they don't understand the extent to your actions. And that's all I have to say about D&D's world now. It's surreal to say this, but I quit permanently, and I hope you do the same. Before I say farewell, I would like to say thank you, not to the game developers, but instead to all the animators, artists, and everyone who helped this fandom come alive. You all truly mean so much to me and helped me through hard times. And I know this will not be the end for all you're also talented with your art, and I know you'll will to great things in the future. I hope you never let your skill waste, and I look so forward to seeing the stories you'll make in the future. Please don't see this as your artist flame being put out. Instead, picture this moment in time. As a new light, you'll find a new muse and possibly be the one to make a new muse for everyone else to be inspired of. I know this is a hard time for many of the young kids that fell in love with the game, but trust me, keep looking and you'll find a new, safer game to cling on to. This has been Tapeworms, and if I don't see ya, have a good morning, a good afternoon, and good night.